Horror Lies.
Hey guys, Rob from Georgia here with you. I'm your Wednesday evening host here at BodyBags. It is week 404. It is theme week, and it is guilty pleasure week. And so I've got some Italian goodness for you this evening in the form of The Last Shark. From one Enzo G. Castellari, the director of such awesome flicks as Inglourious Bastards, that is the original Inglourious, Eagles Over London, Chioma with Franco Nero, and just a whole slew of films. But he went ahead and took a stab at sort of, a Jaws ripoff. And in this movie, man, I will be honest, the first time I put this movie in, man, I thought, what on earth did I just get? And I think it wasn't even this sort of, it's not a bad presentation. This is from Real Vault. Got it through Amazon. It's about $8 and change. Heavily worth it. If you do not own this movie in your collection, it is an absolute must. It may not be your favorite go-to shark movie, but I'm telling you, you give it enough times, it is going to wear on you in a good, positive way. But it has some notable things, man. I freaking love this movie. Ever since back in the what used to be the Bay of Blood podcast, and we did a shark show, this was one of them. And so I had to get myself a copy. And the first time I saw it, though, I think was on YouTube. And I'll be honest, man. The music composition that what is it? The DeAngelis brothers. I know them better from Alien 2 on Earth. I'm trying to think. Blade in the Dark. They worked on, but they give this a very. It is an interesting score, man. It is unique, and there are pieces of it that if you just YouTubed. I'm telling you, this stuff sticks in your head. It just ain't gonna get out of your head, man. And that might be a good thing, might be a bad thing. But it has got some unique things going for it, outside of the fact that it is perhaps maybe the mother of all Jaws ripoff movies. It's worn on me, man, in a good way, in a way that's even more than a guilty pleasure, man. I keep finding things in this movie that I really sincerely enjoy. And I know there's probably a major difference between a real hardline rating on this and my own personal rating. If I were to give it one, I'd say part of that, it is a must own. You gotta have this, man. The DeAngelis brothers, man, their score initially, man, it just may run, man, against you in a really weird, sort of awkward way. But you listen to it enough times, it starts, man. Anyways, here we go. The Last Shark. Basically, the Benton family is our Brody family. We got Peter Benton, who really is probably supposed to be Peter Benchley. Of course, we know him as the original author of Jaws, right? And Gloria Benton, his wife, and Jenny Benton, his daughter. She will fall victim later on in the film to the shark. We got, of course, the renegade mayor who has got to have the annual regatta go on in full force to his own personal political demise. He's got higher political aspirations here. And Ron Hammer, who's like our quint character. Vic Morrow, come on now. I mean, how can you not enjoy a movie with Vic Morrow, rest in peace? And he is freaking awesome, man. He brings a... it's funny. You would think about how freaking awesome, Robert Shaw. Holy freaking crap! I had to look at my poster. How did I forget Robert Shaw? Is Quint. Nobody can replace that. Nobody can outdo that. It is unique unto itself. It is freaking. It's a masterpiece performance by him, as far as I'm concerned. But what Vic Morrow brings to this sort of renegade version of a Quint character, it is good enough and interesting and intriguing enough that it really does warrant a serious view. I mean, as goofy as as this movie tends to be at spots, it's got a few. The actual shark that they built, I guess, is really super cheesy. really sometimes comes across as just a piece of rubber thing that's out there that just sort of comes up and it's pretty goofy. But at the same time, man, there are scenes where if you just sit there and really think, I mean, allow your imagination to just roll, you know, if this were a real great white and if this were happening, it'd be pretty terrifying, actually. They pull off some freaking things in this movie that do, you know, lend itself to, you know, moments of terror. I mean, which is going to seem odd as cheesy as this movie is. You just got to allow your imagination to sort of run with what they're wanting, you know, I think, wanting from it, from point, you know, from point to point. A lot of real shark footage used in this, and most of it does not mesh together at all. You're always looking at a different shark, seemingly a different shark, and it really runs awkward against the scene that's supposed to be taking place. We'll get footage of a real shark that it is so beyond this world obvious that the shark is not the shark, and it is nowhere near any area relating to this scene that is unfolding. The music just some kind of really awkward at times. There's a scene where these kids they're prepping for this annual wind sailing regatta. You know, kind of like what we got a little bit in Jaws 2. And there are things brought in from Jaws 2 in the original Jaws. You know, there's a helicopter scene towards the end. There's the regatta. Of course, there's much of the Jaws template is in full force here. But I'll say this: I'll give this kudos above the original Jaws for this. And they followed the original novel by Peter Benchley in how Quint faces his own demise. They go to the novel, the original source material, which I find pretty interesting. And if that's all you're going to get that's original or pulling from the original source material, hey, you've done something there. I get it, it's a ripoff. I get it. It's, you know, there's a reason why there are lawsuits launched. You know, this movie was making freaking buku money, man, before the studio shut this thing down because of copyright issues, obviously. It's pretty obvious. They were a little bit more inspired, a little more than inspired by the film Jaws or the novel by Peter Benchley. It really basically is a choppy, very low budget, cheesy version of Jaws. But man, it's one of those movies, man. I guess it is a guilty pleasure in the sense that a lot of people who throw this in the first time are going to be like, what the freaking crap? And I'm just like, you know, I don't know. There's things about it that just, I don't know, that just seem to have grown on me in a really bizarre way. You know, we've got, I said the DeAngelis brothers running. We got Ramon Bravo doing the partly, he's uncredited the writing, but we know his work with the shark, the underwater photography in Fulci's Zombie. In fact, we have a producer from Zombie that is one of the acting producers on this movie. The cinematographer, among many things, one of the things that stood out to me was he worked on Killer Fish, the Antonio Margheriti film, which is interesting. But it really is, it is Jaws. We don't get any real great elaborate speech from our Ron Hammer character, but we do get a really good performance from Vic Morrow, a pretty decent performance from James Franciscus, I think that's how you say his name, who plays Peter Benton, who's, I guess, sort of our Brody / Peter Benchley sort of character. And really, basically, I really didn't get into the plot synopsis. A shark is terrorizing this local seaside Port Harbor community on the eve of their annual regatta, and people are coming up missing, beginning with one kid at the beginning who's windsurfing. You know, it's that scene out of Jaws 2, you know. One minute they're all out there having fun, and the next, and, you know, we get one of those type scenes where their buddies out there, and the shark comes right up and just nails him and launches him into the air, and then chows down. But and then it just goes on from there. And so, I mean, you know, there's a lot going on, and I would say, you know, pretty much when you're getting into your final act, heading on to your conclusion, they do make it fun, man. They do make it fun. The whole movie is really fun. I think it's more fun when you just look at it and you just from a slight distance and you just allow your imagination to sort of roll. Well, what if this is a movie that had a much more serious bent to it, had a lot more money, some serious cinematography going on. Dude, there's some scenes in here that would that would really work well. But anyways, on week 404, Guilty Pleasure Week, man, I couldn't think of anything better than to run with The Last Shark. Some Italian goodness, and it is fun. I've been rewatching this, man. This is one of those, other than Jaws, man, or its franchise. Let me just say this, and Will Cardinal's not gonna like this, but man, I think you go Jaws 3, Jaws 2. I know it's a sacrilegious. You go The Last Shark, and then at the bottom of the heap you go Jaws 4. That is better. The Last Shark is better than Jaws 4 by miles and miles, and Will Cardinal's gonna hate that, but you know what? It is what it is. It's my review. It's my guilty pleasure. I'm really starting to freaking love this movie big time. $8 and change. You can't beat it. Amazon. It is worth having, man. Even if you laugh so hysterically, you nearly fall out of your seat and you don't watch it again for a while. It's worth having. It's cheap enough. There's so much history and stuff around this movie. It's got to be in your collection, man. It's got to be, especially if you're a shark film collecting. Anyways, I'm just setting off of there. As always, enjoy the rest of the week as the guilty pleasure films drop one by one. And then we roll on into June, and compliments of one David Lewin. I am going to be reviewing a whole slew of Italian giallo films that I have never watched before. I'm really looking for that. And so just appreciate all the support, all the views, the comments, all that you guys mean to us. It's been over 400 weeks and we're still rolling, and that's all because of you, and appreciate that. We end these things off always with Go Freaking Bills.
This is not a dream. Not a dream.